Hey, YouTubers. I'm enjoying the show on the other channel, and I want to start this podcast off with a song. She's a retard lady from Neptune City. Um, I can't get over how people, especially these clowns, can call themselves professional journalists when all that they do is create a disinformation and a misinformation campaign. I mean, you have this one lady on the phone. Well, the law says. I mean, number one, the lady doesn't even live in the state of New Jersey. If she practiced law or she learned law, it was while she studied by the candlelight with Abraham Lincoln. Okay, this lady sounds like she has swallowed some serious cactuses in her day. Okay, and right now it's the old hag leading the retard, and that's the way that things are working on that channel, and not for the better either. It's very, very, very sad that they've lied to their audience. And, me and Gunnison, we've never done that. We have said things that people don't want to hear, but we've never lied to our audience. We've always verified all of our information as best as we can. Hey, Eastern, how are you? The older that I get, the more fixated that I become not on auditing, interviewing, or interrogating the average run-of-the-mill government employee or civil servant, but attacking the corruption in our system as a whole, almost like Geraldo Rivera did in the 80s. We have so many of these government agencies, especially at the county level in the state of New Jersey, that are improperly managed and are filled with these bureaucrats, and it's utterly disgusting. I mean, I'm thinking of a park system somewhere up, say, in Monmouth County, and a county school district, somewhere in Camden County, that I want to really investigate and expose all their misdeeds. I really didn't want to talk too much about the plea deal that citizen journalist took today, but all I'm going to say this, okay? It's very sad, very, 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 very sad that she took the plea deal. Because what that does, when any auditor takes a plea deal, it weakens the cause. The entire purpose for audit is for First Amendment auditing and citizen journalism and government transparency is to protect our rights and to strengthen them, to fortify the concept of the First Amendment. Okay, folks? Anybody, not just this idiot, when anybody goes out and takes a plea deal, what happens is the First Amendment cause is set a light year back. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. Lepke. Geraldo Rivera was a very strong force when it came to shining light on New York City government agencies that did a lot of nothing. And unfortunately, we have so many of these little towns, and even on the county level, even though we only have 21 counties, we have these obscure government agencies that most people have never heard of, yet they consume a $50 to $60 million budget. And, and it's ridiculous. If you look at what this money is being spent on, it's not being spent on services for average Joe citizen. It's being spent on all the perks and all the niceties for these high-dollar politicians and these fat cat political hacks. Not too long ago, the superintendent of a major New Jersey school district, be it, I believe, Camden or Newark, had a chauffeured Cadillac. Okay? What does that tell you about the system? All right? Lepke, I disagree with you. I don't have a problem with a disabled person like herself going out there and auditing if it didn't affect my rights. Because what happens is this, okay, Lepke, you go and this is an honest dialogue and a mature discussion about it. Okay, you go out there like she does. You get arrested, and now guess what? The law of her case helps decide yours. In essence, her stupidity is getting negative case law in the book, which is going to be used to interpret statutes, and it's going to hurt our work. It's going to hurt our community. Every plea deal she takes creates negative precedent, and we do not need that. Eastern PA, totally. Chauffeur for superintendent, yeah, that's not unheard of at all. Right now, Camden County has 37 towns. Burlington County has 40, and Atlantic has 23. All right. So you take a town that's 2 square miles, or even smaller. Let's go with Monmouth Beach, New Jersey. Monmouth Beach, New Jersey is 0.8 square miles. How many cops do you think they have in that town? 16. How many of them do you think are related to politicians in that town? About 7 or 8. Really. I mean, it's the system. I mean, we've been asked, average Joe New Jersey taxpayer, to pay for other people's mistakes. And we're at the point where we can't do it anymore. We can't float $120,000 pensions like they're hotcakes. Okay? I mean, what this governor has done, this new guy, is he has bent over to all the public workers unions, and he has basically taken a bottle of KY jelly and he's told the public workers unions to take it easy on him. Really? Because now we've handed over control of the police and firefighters retirement system, PFRS, to the unions. I mean, anybody that's ever watched an episode of Billions knows damn well the kind of hinkiness that goes into sitting on a pension board. And quite frankly, we need the most educated and knowledgeable people in that field to fix the pension mess. We don't. We're out of our minds by handing it over to novices who have no experience in that field. You know, and that's why I wholeheartedly agreed with Chris Christie's veto of handing over the pension board to the unions. You know, it's a mistake waiting to happen. Sad, but it's the cold-hearted truth of it all. What I would like to see happen in the next 5 or 6 years is I would like to see a state comptroller who regularly, or a state comptroller, state auditor, which we've had both in the state of New Jersey, who regularly exercises a subpoena power. All right. Because every time when we had Matt Boxer as our state comptroller under John Corzine and this and that, what would happen is this: you'd have these nice audits that would be done extremely civil with white gloves and this and that. And they were pretty much done for show because these audits and these government inspections didn't reveal much that we didn't already know was going on. I mean, like when he audited the Turnpike Authority, it showed that the toll collectors had their own bowling league that the taxpayers paid like $40,000 or $50,000 for, and it was included in their contracts. And the big issue with that was why are we paying for the Turnpike Bowling League? But what's $40,000 or $50,000 in the bigger scheme of things, folks? Okay, all the big money comes not just from internal spending, but from government contracts. These people give their buddies and their cohorts and their colleagues these 6- and 7-figure contracts for what? For what? To provide no-show services, low-show services? I mean, it's almost like under Governor Murphy, we're getting back to where we were with Jim McGreevey and Dick Cody in the early 2000s. The state's getting that bad. I mean, anybody that read Soprano State and was around back then knows what a shit show UMDNJ was when McGreevey was governor. The people that were appointed to UMDNJ, their admissions process, their treatment process, the insurance scams, they were wild. They were wild. And it brings me to a new topic about another part of McGreevy's era corruption that is creeping up on us. Eastern PA, that's a great question, and I'm going to go with Phil Murphy, and here's why. Phil Murphy recently appointed a new undersecretary for the State Department of Education, or deputy commissioner. I'm sorry. His new deputy commissioner of education is for purchasing and procurement, and lo and behold, their deputy commissioner of education is a convicted felon and a former Passaic County councilman who accepted a guilty plea to taking bribes. Well, the problem with that becomes that you've just given the biggest thief a blank check. You allowed the fox in the hen house, and you're bringing in more hens as the fox is in there, you know? And the biggest problem becomes that how does a convicted felon rise to the rank of almost becoming a department head in state government, a cabinet member in the state? I don't get it. Well, I get it. I don't agree with it. I don't get the logic, I should say. But the rationale goes like this, okay? Murphy had to pay back the Passaic County Democrats, okay? And he had to pay back the Passaic County Education Association, all right? And the way that he went about paying back those interests was he killed two birds with one stone. He appointed this guy to an education post that made everybody happy and was and paid back two checks for the price of one. And okay, the guy had some skeletons in his closet. But I'll tell you what, that kind of thinking and that kind of leeway damn well better be shown when the next Republican governor tries to get somebody appointed to a high priority state post, and the Democrats grill them under a microscope. Not too long ago, I remember Chris Christie nominated an Asian guy, Philip Kwan was his name, and he was the first assistant state attorney general. Christie nominated him to serve on the court, the New Jersey Supreme Court, and they gave that guy shit, the Senate Democrats, because he had something like he was involved with a liquor store, and apparently their liquor store license was 2 days later on renewal or this and that, and his parents owned the liquor store, but the parents apparently weren't U.S. citizens, or one was and one wasn't. But they looked for such minute little details. Okay, the guy didn't commit a crime. The guy was never accused of a crime. I mean, Murphy's nominee to the State Department of Education is a convicted felon, and Murphy doesn't dispute the facts. Murphy admits it, and his reasoning is, well, everybody deserves a second chance. How eager do you think the governor would be to give you or I a second chance if we screwed up like that, and we weren't connected to a county Democratic machine? What I do see is this. Eastern PA, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent point. New Jersey had 5 or 6 billionaires last year. What's weird about New Jersey is it's very geographically diverse and socioeconomically diverse. But with that said, there are 3 towns in the state of New Jersey that combined have more billionaires than any place in the state of California or anywhere else in the country, with perhaps the exception of New York or Philadelphia, LA, yeah, of course. But those 3 towns are Morristown, New Jersey, down in Burlington County, Far Hills up in Somerset County, and Livingston up in Essex County. I mean, Morristown has like 5 or 6 billionaires. Green Leader, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because you know what I would do right now if I were in the legislature? We're going to tax all pensions, all state pensions, regardless if they're controlled by residents or not. We're going to take out income tax for it. That would set up an interesting constitutional fight, but I totally agree with it. You know, let's tax all the pensions. You're a public worker. You want to leave the state. You think you're going to play fast and loose with us? We're going to tax your pension. I have no problem with that. I mean, that would be one way of fighting the corruption. We're going to make you pay a state income tax if you live in the state or not. I mean, believe me, the minute that you start screwing around with these people's pensions, that's the minute that it becomes the day of reckoning, okay? The unions get pissed, but unions aren't stupid, okay? They know that post-Chris Christie, they will never get their way in this state again. You know? NJ Diver, you live in Monmouth County, I believe, not far from where my mom lives. Monmouth County's high, but Monmouth County isn't the worst. What Monmouth County is it's the least transparent county. I mean, what they've done is they've created so many accounts and so many government entities on the county level in Monmouth County, you never know where your tax dollars are going. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit everywhere. The minute that they fix up that problem in Monmouth County, everything else will fall into line. Down in South Jersey, the biggest problem is like Monmouth County. It's the fact that we don't know where the money's going. We don't know what we're paying for. We can't find out what we're paying for. You file an Oprah request, a FOIA request, they're going to resist it at all costs. Oprah requests are denied regularly for accessible information. Okay, yeah, you're going to win your court case, but should I really have to file a court case to get public information? I mean, my attorney will get attorney's fees, I'll get my court costs back, right. But then there's a good chance that by the time I get that information, it's going to be 9 or 10 months later, and that information may not be as viable or as pertinent or germane as what it was when I filed the request. And sometimes in a lot of these towns and counties, that's the name of the game, not to deny the information totally, but to stall the release of the information until a less controversial time occurs, such as after Election Day or so forth. I can give an example of that. Last year, me and Gunny filed a request for the overtime totals paid by the Monmouth County Park Service for their county fair. And they stalled, they denied, they used every trick in the book. I was a step shy from filing an Oprah suit in Monmouth County Superior Court, but I didn't because they handed over the list literally 3 days after their quarterly park commission meeting, which meant that if I wanted to confront them or bring that list up at a park commissioners meeting, I would have had to wait 3 or 4 months to do so. You know, that was strategic on their behalf. And I've seen that a lot. I've seen that when it comes to requesting police internal affairs records or things that they may potentially claim are police internal affairs records. The system isn't becoming more transparent. It's becoming less transparent as far as the state of New Jersey is concerned. And that should concern everybody a little bit. The governor we have is not the people's governor. He's the union's governor, folks. Okay, this guy is clearly set to sail to a victory in 2021 so long as he can maintain both control of both houses of the legislature. I don't think he will. I think what's going to happen is the Republicans are going to get the Senate in 2019. I've seen it coming, and I see it coming a mile away. The New Jersey Senate Republicans are eventually going to pick up Van Drew's seat in LD1, and what's going to happen is they're going to have a 2020 stalemate in the Senate for maybe another 8 or 9 months. There's going to be a resignation somewhere in 4, 5, 6, 7, and the Republicans will spend gross amounts of money and they'll pick up that seat. Now, who the Senate president will be under a Republican majority would be very interesting to see. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of infighting going on, especially with the Somerset and Sussex County Republican committees, because the Sussex County, they're going to want one interest taken care of, which is farmland preservation and conservation. And the Somerset County Republicans gave up on conservation and open land management a long time ago. The only damn thing those people care about is lower property taxes. Okay, we're done fighting the urban sprawl. I mean, right now we just want the services to be managed in a way that older people aren't going to be forced out of their homes in the droves. The pendulum is going to swing hard away from Murphy, like politics usually does. I think that too a little bit. But what I also think is Murphy knew right away that his agenda was going to incur the wrath of a gross amount of people. And this is not a stupid guy. He's going to do with the state of New Jersey what he did at Goldman Sachs. He's going to pack a golden parachute. They all had golden parachutes, okay? If he loses his reelection bid and we have a Democrat in the White House come 2021, which it looks like we very well might, especially if Joe Biden runs, Murphy will have his pick of cabinet positions: Secretary of State, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of whatever the hell he wants. I mean, really, that's just the way of the game. He's a Goldman Sachs guy. In every single presidential administration for the last 60 years, there's always been at least two Goldman Sachs guys. I'm more afraid of Goldman Sachs than I am Trump's administration. That's right. You're 1,000% right, Eastern PA. Maybe 1,000,000% right. Tom Wolf is a chameleon. Okay, Tom Wolf can change his coat can change his scales on the flip of a coin. Okay, Phil Murphy can't do that. Phil Murphy's locked himself into positions so tight and so consecrated that to change them would mean nothing less than being a hypocrite. Green Leader, you live down in Atlantic County, if I recall. Now, Atlantic County has one big problem, and it's a problem that I phrased a long time ago. It's called piggyback municipalities. Okay. And the greatest example of one is Port Republic. All right. Port Republic is a little town it's very small, has a very small population. But Port Republic, the problem becomes they don't want to pay for anything, really. Okay. They pay a minimum amount for their fire protection, and they have a state police protection. The problem that arises is this, okay, folks? When a Port Republic resident needs police services, and they call 911, guess who comes? Galloway Township police come. So essentially, Port Republic gets free use of the Galloway Township police in emergency situations, and they don't have to pay a goddamn cent for it. I mean, how is that fair? Estelle Manor is the same way. In certain cases, Estelle Manor will get services from a larger populated municipality that isn't contracted to provide police services for them, but they still have the peace of mind to know that in an emergency, a cop from a neighboring town will come over and serve them. That's a problem. Why should I be a Galloway Township taxpayer and pay for Port Republic to get one of our cops for nothing if they need them? Exactly. If there's an emergency in both municipalities, who do you think they're going to serve first? That's the whole problem with shared services, folks. Okay, I mean, no two towns are going to have the exact same agenda. North Plainfield Borough shares a municipal court with Watchung, and I got to tell you what a cluster mess that's turned into. Okay, because they have one agenda and they have a different socioeconomic class and a different ethnic demographic than the other town. I mean, Watchung needs a municipal court for traffic violations, maybe the occasional DUI or domestic violence. But overall, they don't have the housing ordinance complaints and the property maintenance issues and illegal immigrants 30 to 40 to a house that North Plainfield does. They just don't. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like a smart move to have them share a municipal court. I'm going to end for tonight. I'm going to go work out for a little while and go to bed and get ready to go to my hell of a job that I really don't want to discuss, at least not at this point. But, guys, thanks for showing up. Me and Gunnison have a lot of projects this week coming up. So stay tuned.